I'm here with Ashley Warner, UK competitive surfer. He's going to teach me how to nose ride properly. Let's go.
This is a video of me being taught how to properly nose ride by a professional longboarder, Ashley Braunton. Ashley offers one-to-one coaching sessions. You can look him up on Instagram or on his website. I'll put all the links in the description. This video is split into two sections. The first half, you see all the footage of our session, Ash and I surfing together. He gives me feedback throughout that session, which you see in the video. The second half of the video, Ashley and I do a really deep dive into some of the footage, and we look at what Ashley was doing well or what I was doing wrong. The video starts just now with Ashley and I on the beach and Ashley giving me some initial instructions.
So what I want you to do is to just go get a few waves, concentrate on looking for those steeper sections and work on 2 steps forward, right, and 2 steps back, okay? So you're looking for those sections that perhaps on a shorter board you'd be looking to race, try and increase your trim speed, and then just 2 steps forward, get comfortable, don't try and get on the nose, and just go through those sections. As you're coming out the end of the section, 2 steps back, and then you're looking to set up again on the next section, or if it shuts down, obviously kick out. That's it, nice and simple. Repeat, 2 steps up, 2 steps back. Get used to being further forward on the board and making that transition as smooth as possible. Right, so what sort of feedback can we give here? What's pointers? So, waves are pretty slack, they're fairly fat. You've got the chop coming in, making reforms very difficult, so you get a big fat sections, which for nose riding stuff, you're looking for those little pockets of steep sections. But on the ones that you managed to get where you had those pockets, you were confident, you did your 2 steps, you got steps back, and K-road out of it just fine. On those ones where you found those pockets, and that's the key. Don't try and force it. I think now is we're going to have a go. Here we go. All right, let's do that. Oh, moist.
In this last half of the video, Ashley and I are going to look at a few of our waves in a bit more detail and focus in on our technique.
Well, what you said in my initial feedback, Ash, was my initial instructions is you need a steep section on the wave, and that wave obviously isn't steep enough.
No, so if you look at where you are on the wave, you're quite a long way down the shoulder, but ultimately you're not. What you're doing is you're trying to do the right thing that I've told you to do. You're trying to set up and do your 2 steps. And when you're trying to improve and learn anything within any sport, but particularly with surfing, because you've got a moving medium that you're on, you're focusing on what you're trying to do, and all of a sudden reading the wave starts to go out the window a little bit. So it's trying to bring all that stuff together, but it's just about repetition. So yes, initially, the only thing in your head is get up, get going, do my 2 steps. And actually you've forgotten all the important bits that you would do normally if you were just surfing about where you are on the wave. But it's perfectly normal to do that, and it's about repetition.
And I think that's something worth emphasising straight away, because this is something that I found was a bad habit with me. And after speaking to you, when you gave me the feedback, it's something that I've noticed that is a really big point to improve my nose riding. And that is, before I'd be on a fat section of a wave and I'd straight away go straight for the nose, thinking I'd be able to drive through the fat section. But that almost always ends up how this wave ended up, and the board just stops and I end up going over the front. And it's almost counterintuitive, I found, that the steeper section is the bit that's going to keep you and hold you on the nose.
Yeah, ultimately your nose riding ability comes from the tail of the board being held in the wave. So I mean, if you watch someone on a particularly long board in steep waves, the back of the board, including the fin, sometimes sticks out the back of the wave completely. Yeah. The white water envelops around the board, and that's why longboard rails are the shape that they are. So you really need to be in the pocket for doing this, really.
Okay. All right, I want to stop on this wave, Ash, and go back to this, because at this point, you have just, at that point on that wave, you're going for the nose, and you even get a sneaky little hang 10 in there. At that point, with a wave like that, I'd be running to the back of the board thinking I'm going over the falls, I'm going over the nose, I'm just going to bail out. So just talk me through how you read this wave and what got you to the point where you had 10 toes over the end of the nose there.
Okay, so you'll see at the start of the nose ride, if we can maybe go back to that, my weight is directly over my back foot.
Right.
So if you watch this through, my weight, I'm stood upright, my weight is over my back foot. And as we go forward slightly, you'll see that doesn't change. And then as I hit the steeper section, because of the hold that's generated, I'm able to bring that back foot further forward and bring my weight further over the nose.
Right.
So ultimately the board trim requires me to be with my weight back to start with because of the shape of the face, otherwise I'm going to catch the nose. And as the wave steepens up, I can bring my weight forward and the board will continue that trim through that section. I'm not going to catch the nose.
Right. And the kind of, I guess, the confidence or the ability to read the wave and know you're not going to go over falls, that's just time in the water, experience, and knowing that, you know, just understanding how your board behaves, basically.
Yeah, it's just repetition. Doing those rides through those steeper sections, you'll learn how fast the board goes, how stable it is or isn't, and things like that, and you learn where you do and don't need to come back. The board that I'm riding has some traditional aspects to it and has weight, so it will hold and go through those sections, and I don't need to worry about it slipping out. It's not going to.
All right, so we lose the audio a bit here, so Ash and I are just going to summarise. So this is after I've done a bit of surfing. Ash is giving me feedback on what to do next. And what are you talking about here, Ash?
So what I'm explaining to you here is how we go from those 2 steps forward, 2 steps back to landing with our front foot over the nose, hanging 5. So what I'm explaining is that rather than doing what you do, which is perfectly natural, and a lot of people do, is they'll do their 2 steps and then they'll naturally just shuffle to try and get over the nose. Well, if you're trying to make adjustments when you're up at the front of the board or right at the tail of the board, then the board's going to react more and more. You're going to lose speed and lose balance. So what I'm explaining to you to do is to do a little shuffle to get yourself in the position that when you do your 2 steps, your foot goes straight over the nose, and then you can go up, and then if the section's not right, you can come back. You can go up, you can come back, but each time your foot's landing over the nose.
I just want to emphasise the 2 main things that you said, why it's important to do it the other way, which is either a small shuffle initially, what you're telling me here, and then to cross step. Number 1, it's functionality, and it gets you on a nose quicker. And the second thing, it's also, you know, if especially competing, it's just more stylish. And even if you're not competing, it looks more stylish if you can just do those 2 confident steps and land straight on the nose instantly.
Yeah, it's smoother, but also it means that you can get back off that nose quicker. You're not trying to then reverse that little adjustment, or you're stepping back. And when you say you've done 2 steps and a little shuffle to get over the nose, when you do 2 steps back, you're in an alien position on the board because you don't naturally stand in that position. Whereas if you do your little adjustment and then do your two steps, and when you step back, you're used to being in that position, and you can do your little adjustment and come back. As you then progress later on, which I'll explain in the video, you will get rid of that little adjustment or shuffle, whichever you want to call it, and you will go to 4 steps. And then you have the option of doing your 2 steps or your 4 steps depending on where you are on the board. But the easiest way to making sure that you're cross-stepping up and back, hanging 5, is to make this a little adjustment. And it comes from possibly the best traditional surfer in the world. So, yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to stop it here because this is worth highlighting kind of what we were just saying when you gave me my feedback. And what you're doing here, which I noticed, Ash, is you do those initial 2 steps. Yours are not a shuffle, yours are a cross step. You're a bit more advanced than me. And so you do a little initial, very small 2 steps, and then you kind of steady yourself there, ready to then do your 2 big steps to the nose in one movement.
Yeah, so that's about getting into the trim position. If you look at the wave has a big lump in it here.
Yeah.
So I've come over this lump with the 2 steps to trim over it. But I'm riding quite a flat board, so I've got to bear in mind not to catch the nose. And as I come round, I'm going to come round this section as this wave doubles up on this lump, and then I'm going to do my next 2 steps onto the nose. As I said before, if it was in cleaner conditions, I could swing round, this would be a cleaner face, and I could just do my 4 steps straight up to the nose.
Yeah. Okay, right, we'll watch a bit more. Right, this is a good contrast between that first wave we talked about, and you can see here that it's a much steeper section, which is allowing me to get close to the nose. I don't quite get a nose ride because I do 2 big steps, which is what I always do. But yeah, it looks like a better wave, Ash.
Yeah, so you've come out of the pocket here onto where we've got this slight cross-shore wobble. So you've got another section that you're going into, and you've stepped forward across that section, across the steeper section here. If the wave wasn't going to shut down, then you're in the right position. You're just going a little bit fast. But again, that's just adjustments to start with. It's just about getting used to how the board reacts. So right place, right time, just down to the wave.
So do you think as well, if you were on this wave, would you have just done your 2 small steps and just to maybe not go quite as fast and just wait for the right moment to pounce on the nose?
Potentially, yeah. You might have wanted to start a little bit further back. You might still want to be a bit further back in the pocket here.
So do a little stall or a little mini.
Well, yeah, just waiting, going straight, waiting. Sauntering's quite a slow wave, so you can kind of go straight and wait and just let the board do the work. Really, let the board trim, and then as you're coming across this section, you start to accelerate. That's when you'll go forward. But it's in the right part of the wave. You can see it's in the steeper section.
All right, we'll watch a bit more. All right, we're going to stop this one because this is a perfect example of a bad habit that I'm in, which is running to the nose on a fatter part of the wave, thinking that it's going to drive me forward. And what I should have really done, and now I've kind of had this tutorial from you, this kind of training, mentoring, whatever you call it, coaching, I've now realised that should I have even taken the 2 first initial steps or just held back and waited until this kind of nice steeper section came?
Yeah, so this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning about you're trying to concentrate on doing what I'm asking you to tell or telling you to do, and forgetting a little bit about actually what you already know about surfing and riding the waves.
Yeah.
So if you look at this wave, it's got a big lump in it here, this big double up.
Yeah.
This is the section, as it hits the double up here, you can see it. It's going to that's the section that's going to set up, and that's the section that's going to be steep and let you get through to the nose. The section that you've gone to get on the nose on is where it's just where the top third of the wave has stood up, and then you've gone ploughing into the lump in front of it. But that, again, that just goes to back to you concentrating on what you're trying to learn and forgetting about reading the wave. But it's down to repetition. You just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, I think it is also as well. I think I mentioned this before, but it's just it was counterintuitive to me. But the steepest part of the wave, I wouldn't have thought that would be, for whatever reason. I'm not sure if people are in the same position. I would have always thought that the fatter part would be when you want to go for the wave. It's just counterintuitive. You think the steeper part, you're just gonna, I don't know, the nose is going to dig in or something.
Yeah.
But now you've kind of emphasised it, and we've reviewed this. It's really obvious to me that you've just got to wait for the wave to kind of hold up, which I wasn't doing much on this day, to be honest.
No, but nose riding, the majority of nose riding is actually setting up. The rest of it is about reading the wave.
Yeah.